Yes, welcome to the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton. Every week, bringing you an expert in the field of business communication. You and I both know that powerful communication skills are the key to business success with our sales, our marketing, our management, our teamwork, and yes, our profits. And so strengthening our communication skills is extremely vital. And today, to help us do that, I bring us Scott Williford, the founder and CEO of V-Link Solutions in Atlanta. Scott and his company help businesses and professionals enhance their online brand, creating videos, helping manage and distribute those videos. Scott and his company help clients produce video blogs, profiles, product demos, and customer stories. He's also a highly respected business consultant. And when you look at his LinkedIn profile, you'll recognize as well that he's a very active volunteer with charitable organizations. Now, one thing I will have to say, those of you who are watching us on video or listening on podcast and you're from the state of Georgia, if you don't think that a Georgia Tech guy and a Georgia guy can collaborate, we're doing that today. Scott's a Georgia Tech graduate, and I am a University of Georgia former faculty member. Scott Williford, welcome to the Biz Communication Show.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you having me. It's exciting, and I will say that I have sent more money to UGA than I ever spent at Georgia Tech because 2 of my 4 children went there.
Ah, yes. And I've always said that the biggest tax-free increase that a guy ever gets is when the children leave college and you've paid that final tuition.
I
Scott,
agree.
among the many statements that you have made from your professional vantage point about video, there are a couple that I would like to start with. One is you talk about the power of video to engage someone who's watching. Explain that to us, please.
Well, I believe that in general, we are made to communicate face to face. And when you meet someone, you shake their hands and you begin to communicate with them, there's body language, there's other things that you're using that are part of the communication. And so video allows us to extend that to the computer screen. So like we are now, we're a little more engaging in this method than if we were to just, even though audio is a good part of engagement, audio alone or text alone are not near as engaging as video, because video takes advantage of the other aspects that we have that we're humans, are made for. We're made for relationships. So it's all part of that.
When I heard you recently, when you were talking to a group of speakers, you were helping them produce video demos, which is very important in the speaking profession.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that you said then, you said that when we watch someone on video, we have the "I feel like I know you" sensation. Why is that?
Well, I think if you just think about your favorite television show or your favorite newscaster or those things, you begin to create this connection with the audience. The audience begins to make a connection with the person on screen. And over a period of time, you actually begin to really do. You feel like you know them. I use the example or the story. This has happened a couple of times to me, but the first time it ever happened to me, I met a gentleman for the very first time at an Atlanta bread company. And he came up and he shook my hand. And the first thing he said, "It was nice to see you again." I had never met this gentleman before in my life, but he had watched my videos. So it was kind of interesting that he kind of had the sensation and I wasn't prepared for that. And that's kind of where that idea came from, is somebody actually told me that it was nice to see me again, and yet that we have never met in person before.
I think it could be comparable maybe to how many of us think that we know movie stars and singers and television anchors. We don't really know them, but we know them better than if we had just read something about them or we had heard them on audio, because video does bring us to life. Interesting that I was talking with someone this morning who got married recently. I asked her, did you have someone take a video of the wedding? And she said, I'm sad to say that we didn't. And I've regretted it ever since. She said, we spent a good deal of money on photos and they will be valuable for our memories, but for just a little bit more, we could have had video and would have seen the wedding in action. So there's another example of video bringing something to life. Now, the next thing, I know quite often, Scott, when you're talking to people about video production, there are many people who say to you, oh my gosh, Scott, I can't be a video person. I don't have a broadcast voice. I don't look like somebody that you ordinarily would see on a screen. So no, I just can't do that. What do you say to help those people get over that hurdle?
Well, the first thing is I say, get over yourself. But the reality is that if you're in business today, you are meeting people, you are talking to them, and they are seeing you. And they, even when you talk to them on the phone, if they've met you before, they begin to, in their mind, begin to see who you are in their mind. So in many cases, people have this fear of video when in fact, they're in front of folks all the time. They're in front of their customers, they're in front of their employees. And I just tell them to relax and enjoy. And usually when we're producing video for clients, and we have a lot of executives and people that are not professional speakers, who are not professional talent, if you will, we just tell them, so look, just be yourself and just relax. And then we sometimes play a couple of improv games if we need to get them to just, get comfortable. And another little thing that we do, and this is something that we think is important, is that as you can see, we're in our studio now, and we have a couple of cameras pointed, but I can see our producers. So I see them. They're not, even though I do have lights on me, I am in a room with some folks. So I say, just talk to us. If you're struggling talking to the camera, then just talk to us.
There's a comparison that I've used when I'm coaching someone who wants to improve their speaking. And they'll say, I've got a lot of stage fright. I said, okay, let's take an example. Let's say you go to a cocktail party. You're one of the first people there. There are 2 or 3 of you talking. And then after a while, a couple of other people join. And next thing you know, you've got 10 people standing around you. You're doing public speaking. What's the difference? I mean, you can talk to one person, you can talk to 10, then you can talk to 100, or you can talk to 1,000. Just use the same approach.
I agree 100%, Bill. I think that, yes, there is anxiety for public speaking for a lot of people. But I think that it's important that if you're going to excel in whatever your career is, it is important that you learn to be able to present to a group, even if it's a small group, to realize that that's part of your career advancement. And so we tell people all the time, so just relax, enjoy it. And, sometimes it's practice. A lot of times people get more nervous the more they practice. And so we tell them just to pretend you're having a conversation with a friend. And especially when we're doing those executives talking about the company, talking about the story of their company, their culture, we say, just describe it as if you're talking to a new employee, and just relax. We also will take advantage in some cases of having people write their scripts. And so script writing is a great tool to allow them to stay focused. So you and I are having a free form conversation, but in many cases, the presenter on camera is trying to tell a specific set of stories and a specific set of facts. Well, if they're trying to go from memory, it becomes very difficult for them to get it exactly right every time. So simply writing it down, and then in our case, we typically put it on a teleprompter, and I know that you've used one as well. It allows them to just basically deliver the text, and then we're just coaching them on how to look comfortable on camera. The beauty of video is that we can take multiple takes, take the best of every take, and make you look a little more comfortable than you might have been.
One thing I would say about your comment on practice, that's something that I'm constantly cautioning people about. One of the problems I had when I began as a professional speaker was if you practice, one of the things that happens could be, and I found it in my case, by the time you get to the presentation, you're tired of the material. You've heard it so much yourself, you don't have what I love to call, and I take this from theater, the illusion of the first time. You want your audience, whether it's a theater audience or whether it's an audience at a convention or a conference or even in your own business, you want your audience to think, this person is thinking this now for the first time. It's live. And so too much practice can be a problem. Now, I'll bet you that you hear this as well. Gosh, you know, Scott, I really could not do video because I might not get through it without some bloopers. I might say, or, you know, or like, or I might forget my place. Gosh, Scott, I can't be perfect. What do you say to those people?
Well, I think that that's a natural way we speak. I mean, you want to feel, you touched on it, you want to feel authentic to the viewer. So one of the things that we tell people is it's okay if you have a blooper or two. We're going to polish you as much as we need to, but we want to keep the authenticity. So we might take the first take and use the opening because it's very sincere and very exciting. And you're, hi, I'm Scott Williford, and I'm glad that you're watching my video today. But then we might allow you to, make a couple of mistakes or allow those to make in the final cut. But then if it's a real big blub, the beauty of video, again, you can edit that out. But you do not need to edit them all out because that's the way we naturally speak. We do tell people that if you are a or a person, if they're overdoing that, we will tell them, so look, why don't you just consciously think of pausing instead of and So we'll coach them in that. But if it's a subtle, a few times here and there, it's a natural cadence of that person's speech. And anybody that knows them will recognize that, hey, wow, they were being real, not too polished.
What I advise people to do along that line, Scott, you can have a lot of fun some evening. Go to YouTube and type in TV bloopers, and you will find hundreds of videos of highly professional broadcasters, the very best in the business, who have made some bloopers that were on the air live. And in fact, some of them even slip into language that's not so tasteful. Everybody makes bloopers. And if you and I were sitting together at coffee someplace, we're not worried if we get off track for a minute, or if we do have an or a huh, or oh my gosh, where was I? Those kinds of, it's just very natural. And as you say, being yourself is a strong part of video communication. Just last week, I produced I think it was a 5.5 minute video. I do 2 or 3 a week. And during the video, I had a slip of the tongue. And instead of saying, thanks for being with me, I said, thanks for me being with you. And then I corrected it and kept on. Now, I could have edited that out. I have certainly the software to do that, but I thought, what the heck, that's natural. That's the way people talk. And I would like for people to see that you don't have to be perfect. Striving to be perfect in anything, whether it's speaking or writing or your golf game or anything else, it just doesn't work, does it?
No, and I think people get frustrated, and that increases their anxiety when they're trying to do that. And so I agree with you 100%, Bill. It's okay to have a slip or two or a mistake or two. And if it distracts from the message, that's when you want to, let's do a retake. But if the message is on point and it feels genuine, it feels sincere, then those are the elements that allows us to connect and actually increase our desire to hear this person's message and creates the video to be more engaging. If it's too polished, you can actually lose some of that engagement we talked about earlier.
We don't want a robot up there, do we?
No, we don't. Exactly.
I think back as you could quite easily, and a number of our viewers and listeners could, to Johnny Carson. When Johnny Carson made a blooper, he made a lot of fun out of it. He would tap the microphone and ask if the mic was on. He'd dance around a little bit. Some people often wondered, does he make bloopers on purpose? Because he was so good at maximizing the opportunity, making it humorous, and then letting it be a part of the show. And people loved him for that.
I agree 100%. I think it's just being comfortable in your own skin and being comfortable in who you are. And I would give anybody who's, again, if they're trying to advance their career or they're doing public speaking, the more you know yourself and the more you're comfortable with yourself, the more successful and sincere you're going to be. And I think that when you're on camera or you're on stage or you're giving a presentation or you're making a one-on-one sales call, people can sense when you're afraid. They can sense when you're nervous. And then they begin to think that you're disgenuine with your statements. And you don't want that. You don't want that on stage. You don't want that in the sales call, and you don't want that on video. You want people to know that you are passionate and you care about what you're talking about.
Let's think now about somebody, we have many listeners, I'm sure, and many viewers who want to promote their business. What do you think, Scott, when you go to somebody's website and there's no video there? What's your impression?
I think they haven't caught on yet. I honestly think that video is one of the most powerful tools of communicating. And honestly, it wasn't even available on a wide scale basis until the last 5, 6, 7 years because of the bandwidth constraints. If you watched my talk that you mentioned earlier, one of the quotes I gave was from the curator of TED. And everybody's watched a TED talk, or hopefully you have. And the curator of TED, Chris Anderson, says that video is high bandwidth for a reason. It packs an awful lot of data in there. And so video is such a powerful tool that I really am surprised when I see what I would say progressive and good marketing companies not leveraging video. And so we're seeing more and more video being produced. We're seeing more and more of our clients coming back and producing more video. And it's ranging from multi-billion, multinational companies to individuals and solo practitioners and consultants. And, we're seeing the power of video really being leveraged by everybody. And so to answer your question directly, I'm surprised if they are a progressive marketing company, that they're really putting themselves out there, that they don't have video. And there's really multiple types of video, Bill. There are what we call showcase videos, which are long shelf life. They tell a story that you want to keep, and you want to have them on your video, on your webpage for a while. It might be an about us. It might be a culture video about the company. But there's also workhorse videos, and workhorse videos have a shorter shelf life. While you and I are producing an interview here, the interview will, quite frankly, will become a little stale in 6 to 9 months because things change and we'll have new insights about what we're talking about. And so this would be what we would call a workhorse video. That includes video blogs, and training videos are often workhorse videos. And these are things that you're going to produce more of them, but you're going to keep updating on your website. It's not a once and done. And then if you think about who produces the most videos, well, that's what we call social videos. So social videos, our teenagers have embraced this. They're using Instagram, and they're using Facebook, and they're using Twitter, and they're producing lots and lots of short form, in my car, let me tell you what happened to me today, social video. And there's thousands and thousands of hours of that being uploaded every minute. So it's interesting when you think about it. Video is just an important tool, and we've built a business around helping people do it. So that's what I believe in it, obviously.
Scott, many wonderful contributions, many wonderful suggestions. And what I would add before I ask for your contact information is that the only limit to the possibilities of video, and the only limit is our imagination. Because, for example, I'll give you a very quick one. In my business, when I visit someone on what we would refer to as a sales call, I know that most of my competitors who follow up, they will send them an email. If they're old-fashioned, they'll send them a letter. Maybe they'll send them a packet of materials. But I send them a video thank you, maybe no more than 1 or 2 minutes. And of course, it's not a canned one. It's a personalized one for them. And this absolutely sets a person apart. And once you get accustomed to doing that, it's very easy to do. Scott, give us, please, your contact information, because I know people would like more information about your company and how you can help them with their video production.
So you can find us on the internet at thevideomarketingauthority.com. The company's name is V-Link Solutions, so you can also just search us for V-Link Solutions. My phone number, just call me on my cell phone, 404-229-7669, or you can email me at S, like Scott, Williford, Williford, at VLinkSolutions.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to help you with any of your video marketing questions, video marketing needs, or I'm just a good guy. I'd love to meet you.
You are a good guy. I've met you. I know. Scott, this has been fantastic. Since you've shared your contact information, I'll share mine. Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. So logically, my website is B-I-Z, bizcommunicationguy.com. I invite you to go there, sign up for my online newsletter, look at the services that I provide for corporations and individuals. And be sure to be with us again next week for another guest on the Biz Communication Show. Scott, any closing comments?
Well, I would say, Bill, that one of the things that I learned from you is that your voice is a very powerful tool. And you and I have talked about this before when we interviewed you here. And I think that folks that work with you and learn more about you understand the importance of how to use their voice in different tools. And so I want to thank you for that lesson. I don't really have a comment about our interview, but I want to thank you for that lesson, that short visit that we had back at our studio several months ago.
That was an opportunity which I welcomed. And believe me, you and I know we've just touched the surface about the power of video and how each of us can get in on video production at some level. And so keep your calendar handy. Scott, you and I are going to schedule another interview sometime soon. Again, thanks to Scott Williford of V-Link Solutions. Thanks to those of you who joined us on video. Thanks very much to those of you who joined our podcast. Be with us again next week on the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton.